Today we're starting another heat pump installation. We are in Tadley and we are installing a full heating system from scratch. The heat pump will go here on the front, below that window. It's going to be a 5 kilowatt unit from Vaillant. Pipework and wiring will go in this trunking through the loft. That's the unit already there in the garden, and inside we've got all the materials delivered. So you can see 32mm LCP pipework that we are going to use for primary pipework, copper underfloor heating, 200 liter cylinder, and we've got a week to do it. So we'll see if we can put a full heating system and a heat pump and the cylinder in a week. And upstairs here in this kind of a loft room, that's where the cylinder will go, and the plant room, the controls. Let me show you. All right. I have to build a base for it, so I need to spread the load a little better because existing joists are going that way, they're only 4-inch. So I'm adding another 4-inch going across 4 joists this way, because the cylinder with water will weigh about 250 kilograms, so that wouldn't be great putting it straight on the existing timbers. So the cylinder's up. Don't ask how I got it here. You'll never see that part of the video. Too much swearing. And we'll position it somewhere so that we've got access to immersion heater. Maybe here. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. I'm happy with this. I'm gonna run pipes through the wall to the outside to have a minimal amount of pipework here. And while I'm doing this, Marie has been running pipework for heating and water.
So this is my hot and cold from the bathrooms. The bathrooms come that way. The hot and cold from the kitchen and the main is here. We're going to connect that later. These hot and colds are going to go to the cylinder on the other side of the wall. Over in that corner, we've got the primaries to run. They'll come from there and go to the other side of the wall behind there and go to the cupboard.
We've got multi-layer composite pipework here, dropped through the eaves because it makes it so much easier to run this pipework through difficult obstacles like eaves where you can't really reach it. You wouldn't be able to run a straight pipe or even bent pipe. It's just tricky. And from here, we're gonna go down to copper, so we'll be ready with our pipework and wiring for the unit. While we're doing this, it's a big lorry here, and they're doing the driveway, so we might be able to get the vans parked here soon. Right, let's clip those in. And see if they can actually go in, because maybe, nah, that's not holding at all. Let's see if the other one is. Yeah, that one isn't. Let's go. Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? So the boys from Southern Solar have done wiring for us quickly and efficiently. And I'm going through the wall with my flow coming from the heat pump, flow going back through here to the heating, so the diverter valve will go most likely like this. Flow to heating, no, sorry, it will go like this. Flow to cylinder, flow to heating down here, and then return from the cylinder there. And behind that wall, I'm gonna put a 50 liter volumizer. And let me show you the pipework behind, that might be easier. So what we've done here, we've got our primary pipework going from the heat pump, and this pipework will go to here and turn to copper in a second. So you can see we've got our connectors already on it. So that has to go, flow has to go through the wall, return doesn't, because the return from the cylinder will come here. And those two copper pipes right there, 28mm copper, are pipes going downstairs to where the underfloor heating manifold is going to be. It's day number 3. Marie is finishing pipework outside. She's got about an hour left there. And I am ready to start installing those castellated panels because we primed the floor yesterday. And yeah, this room here is ready to go. I still have an expansion vessel and a feeding loop to do on heating upstairs, but it's arriving later on today. So once you've got your floors primed, those panels stick much better. And obviously for screed, especially gypsum screed, that's only going to be 25 to 30 mil. You should prime all your floors. The last missing bits of our setup have arrived. So we've got this buffer vessel, 50 liters from Zilmed, made in Poland. Has to be a good kit then. We're gonna use it as a volumizer. It's a wall hang one, but I'm gonna put it on the floor. It has a drain on the bottom that we capped off. We also have a RoboKit. RoboKit is a filling loop with pressure relief and nice flat expansion vessel. So I think this could go right here. Yeah, that looks good. Right, last chance to see this setup before I put the volumizer in. And to explain what we have here. This is a flow coming from the heat pump. Isolator here. That's return going back to the heat pump. I didn't have space for isolator, so it's behind the wall sadly, but you can isolate both. This acts as an isolator as well. This is a fill and flash valve, so if you turn this off, it isolates this part, so you are able to open the strainer. Y strainer going back to the heat pump, open it for cleaning. There's a valve behind the wall. We prefer Y strainers because if there's some dirt in the system, it just goes with the flow and goes down. Does not block the strainer very easily, unlike, you know, the ball valves with the strainers. They can block pretty quickly on relatively clean systems. Obviously, expansion vessel connected to the return. They always should be connected to the return. This is a drain cock, so I'll be able to drain the volumizer if I have to drain it. And diverter valve, non-ball one. So we don't use Honeywell ball valve diverters anymore. So the ones supplied with this cylinder, they just don't seem to be lasting very long on high flows, especially if you've got a flow higher than 5 kilowatt unit. You might be okay on 5 kilowatt unit up to 1,000 liters per hour, anything above it. They're just not suitable for that kind of flow. They can cause slamming noises, or sometimes even the ball. There's that valve. So that's the valve. There's a ball in that valve, a rubber ball. And it's not impossible for that ball on a flow higher than 1,000 liters per hour just to detach itself and just fly into the pipework. And yeah, good luck finding it in the system. And then you start scratching your head why you don't get any flow. So yeah, it is a diverter, but probably not good for high flow heat pumps. Right, so I think I've explained everything pretty much, haven't I? So that can go in now. And we're using that volumizer here because the heat loss of the property is relatively low compared to the output of the unit. So we've got 5 kilowatt unit from Vaillant. Vaillant says it's 6.8 kilowatt output at our design, 35C. Really, it's around 5. So yeah, ignore Vaillant figures. It's a 5 kilowatt heat pump at design when you take defrost into the account. But our heat loss is still sub 4 kilowatts here. So we want as much volume as we can have, just to give it a little bit more breathing space. It will extend the run times by a few minutes. And then we also have 28mm primary pipework, and 28mm pipework going to the manifold will allow slightly higher efficiency because the circulator will not have to work as hard, and gives us tiny bit more volume as well. So yeah, just a good practice. Although the underfloor is not yet done, the manifold is already on the wall and isolated, so I can now feel the system and see if we get any issues. There you have it. I forgot to press one elbow here. Not great, not great. Okay, let's press it quickly. No, it won't go in. So we are in a bit of a pickle. Or maybe this way? Come on, go in. Yeah, it will go this way. Thank God. One unpressed fitting, teeny tiny bit of a flat. Nothing major. Thank God there's only one leak, no more leaks. And let me show you what Marie has done outside. Here on the side of the building we've got sensor, temperature, pressure relief going all the way down into a nice cage. And Marie is just finishing insulation outside. And as you can see, units running. Don't think that plant will last very long. So let me show you. Yeah, that's nice and neat. And I really like those rails for Primary Pro, much better than your regular plates. And we've taken drainage from the heat pump here in that pipe to right there. And by the way, look at the tarmac. It's done! So this setup has been now running since yesterday on hot water alone because we don't have a heating system yet. We're putting it in today. And if we manage to finish underfloor heating in this 80 square meters bungalow, we would have done a full installation, heat pump, this little setup and full heating system in just 5 days. And what we're doing, we're installing underfloor heating now on castellated panels on existing slab with no insulation. And I know people get surprised that we install underfloor heating on uninsulated slabs. There's a few things I want to point out. First of all, when you design heating system, the heat loss through the slab is much less than the heat loss through the walls or the roofs. The first reason being is when you design to the external temperature of -3 and 21 inside, you've got a difference in your design of DT24, let's say. You've got -3 outside, 21 inside, because air temperature is 24 degrees lower than your internal temperature. When it comes to uninsulated floors, our soil temperature or ground temperature below the slab is not as low as the air design temperature. We designed to probably around 8 to 11 degrees, so it's half the DT. So just that difference in temperature of the ground below us creates half the heat loss as compared to the same U value of a wall or a floor. Uninsulated slab U value we estimate at around 1, maybe to 1.5, depending on the thickness of the slab. Uninsulated double brick walls are higher U value of around 2, 2.1. So much less heat loss will happen through the floor. Another thing to remember is that slab will also act as a gigantic heat battery. Once you are running that weather compensated system in the winter, it runs continuously. So you are charging this mass below your property as well. I don't have any scientific data to back it up. This is just my assumption of what happens, but I've seen it in practice and it works really, really well. We run uninsulated slab floors in properties like this one, so 70s, 80s builds with insulated cavities at flow temperature not exceeding 32 degrees. Some of them run as low as 29 to 30 degrees, giving efficiencies on heating or SCOPs, seasonal coefficient of performance on heat pumps on heating on uninsulated slabs of 5 or 500%, so giving excellent efficiencies, very low running cost. So I think, yes, insulate, fabric first and all of that. Make sure your property requires as little energy as possible to run it. However, I would look at insulating floors as a last thing. And quite often I would say it might not be necessary. Pipework's down. Now we're gonna purge the air by connecting a hose to the return on the manifold. We've got the radiator icon here, although there are no radiators on the property at all. It's all underfloor heating. So the heat pump is running the heating for the very first time. And this is very interesting system because the flow temperature on this setup will never go higher than 35 degrees. Probably will run even lower than that at the design, at around 32 I would imagine, making this system super efficient. On heating, efficiency, seasonal coefficient of performance of 5, pretty much guaranteed. As you can see, we've got flow going through the manifold. Right now it's 3.5, slightly over 3 liters per loop. And our design requires around a liter, but I'm not gonna be throttling it down on those flow setters. We don't really need perfect DT5, especially when it's warmer. What we want is the circulator in the unit to run at the lowest possible power. So it's running on auto now, so it's probably targeting 860 liters. That's why we've got so much flow going through here. But don't throttle it down. That will only force the pump to work harder. If you even set 1 liter on every single flow setter, all it means that is you might widen the DT a bit, but the circulator in the unit will run at a higher power and your overall efficiency will drop as well. Nothing wrong with having very narrow DT. Don't worry about having a large flow through the manifold. That's completely fine. But when we come to commission, I will try to slow that circulator down as much as possible and we'll see what we get. I do leave systems with underfloor heating fully open. I do let underfloor heating run at narrow DT. Tarmac boys they've been done and dusted in a day and a half. That was really quick. That's our heat pump here. Primary pro on the back, 2 antifreeze valves. Drainage is connected to a galley right here, and nice trunking isolator switch and a 5 kilowatt Vaillant unit running this bungalow. I checked actually my heat loss calcs. This bungalow is around 3.5 kilowatt heat loss, so 5 kilowatt heat pump is more than adequate to run heating and hot water on the property. Unit is running full out, and you might have noticed that the tree is gone. Jane, the customer, have moved the tree to over there to give it, chances of survival. So that's nice, because I don't think this tree would have lasted here very long with this very cold air blowing on it all the time. And for a unit running 100% compressor modulation now, it's relatively quiet. 5s are fine. 5s are not causing us any issues. They're nice, quiet and reliable units. I do like those little units a lot. What we're doing now, we are demineralizing the system water. This little canister here is full of resin, and we are circulating water using the heat pump. Heat pump's running, and it's running warm as well, through this canister. That resin inside is taking most of the minerals out of the water, and in the process is reducing what is called conductivity of water. So the ability of water to conduct electrical currents, and the lower the conductivity of that water is, the lower the chances of corrosion. And we've got 2 meters, one on an inlet here, one on an outlet. So as you can see right now, we've got 740 microsiemens of conductivity and 495 parts per million of total dissolved solids. And we just have to wait for those figures to drop. It usually, depending on the system, obviously the larger the system, the longer it takes, but for a system as we have here, 80 square meters of underfloor heating, I don't expect this process to take longer than 10-15 minutes. Now it's time to commission the system and fill all the paperwork in. And for this really bureaucratic process of filling paperwork for microgeneration scheme, bus and everything else, it's tons of paperwork you have to do. We use a software called Install, and it's excellent. It speeds us up immensely, and it's really beautiful because once we've done our paperwork and handover packs, all the customer or anyone that will audit this job in the future, all they have to do is to scan that code, and they've got everything they need. They've got MCS certificate, electrical certificate, building control certificate, manuals, commissioning certificates, all the documents that are required for a full process. And the amount of documents, if you're not MCS, you might not be aware of it, It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, the bureaucracy of installing heat pumps is through the roof. And that's probably what makes heat pump installation so expensive, because you have to hire an office person to do that, you have to pay for software to be able to do that, you have to pay for EasyMCS to get the documents. I don't know how many organizations we have to join to be able to do this whole process. 10? And we pay every single one of them a fee every year. It's insane. You want cheaper heat pump installs? Get rid of the bureaucracy. That will drop the price by probably £1,500 per install straight away. Right, I won't bore you with bureaucratic processes. I'll just fill that all in. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you like installation videos, there's tons on our channel. There'll be another one right here for you to watch.